I'm Brett Hestla, and you're watching Can You Be Famous TV. What got me into music was probably my brother was 10 years older than me, and somewhat of a hero to me because he was already 16 when I was 6. So he had the car, and I thought that was awesome. And he had a Nova and a hot rod and a bunch of cool stuff. And he had band, and they had a band in the bedroom across the hall from me. I just thought it was awesome that they were able to sound like the radio, and it was just my brother and his crony friends in there playing, jamming. And so I started sneaking in there when they were out on the weekends, and he caught me eventually and was cool with it and said, hey, turn it up a little bit. And one thing led to another, and I ended up with my own bands, and that was pretty much the love, was just seeing people do music, as a band and a group of people making something happen that was just cool. That's what I loved about it. Playing with Dark New Day, there's really no way. It's like having your fantasy football team on the field, like the perfect running back and the perfect quarterback and the perfect receivers, and to watch them all in action and working together seamlessly. That's exactly what Dark New Day was. It's like Will's a quarterback on drums, and everybody on their instrument was the guy, and could have carried an entire band on their talent alone. So to be the singer for that band was an honor, and it was something we'd talked about doing for a year. I'd been hounding those guys. Oh man, let me do something with you guys. And seeing them in bands from so long ago, we were just teenagers, and watching them develop as musicians and seeing them pop up. Clint gets the record deal with Seven Dust, and all of a sudden Troy's got a deal, I had a deal, and then Will's got a deal, and these are all my friends, and it was really exciting to watch all this happening. But standing on stage with that group of people is playing your music, and all I had to do was sing, was pretty much, that's the best musical experience ever. The fondest memories of being on the road was the first night we were following fuel around in Virgos Merlot, and they had a bus, so we were just trying to keep up with our van and trailer, and we're all wired, and we're pulling into Washington, D.C., and it was my first time to be in Washington, D.C. And as we're coming up over a hill on the interstate that's leading down into the city, our song came on the radio, and it was the first time any of us had heard it on a radio station outside of Orlando, which JRR here in Orlando was always very supportive of Virgos Merlot, and we were blessed to have that happen. But the first time we heard it, like, unsolicited, that wasn't in our home base, was in Washington. And that was like, I remember just looking around and high-fiving everybody and being like, wow, that's what I've been waiting on for so long, is that one little moment of where it wasn't because I called, and it wasn't because they knew me, and it wasn't because they were doing me a favor. It was just they liked the song and they played it, and that was, to have that was probably the best payoff. Touring memories, narrowly escaping death with drummer JD driving the Virgos Merlot tour van. We skidded across a 8-lane interstate on the ice one day, and I was just looking out the side window of the van, and here comes some cars, and here we are, and I'm sure it looked funnier from their perspective, because here comes this van with all wheels locked up, trailer wheels and van wheels all just stopped. Shh, sliding across the road. Good times. There's a million of those stories. The call to play in Creed was unusual, and it was a little bit weird because I considered myself a friend of Brian Marshall's, and to be going out and replacing him where on one hand I wanted to help out and I wanted to, that was an awesome opportunity that anybody would want to try out, to be able to play in front of 30,000 people on average a night and do that 5 nights a week is just, that's everything I dreamed of when I was a kid, of playing in front of large crowds and explosions and pyro and video screens and cameras and I had a helicopter pointing a camera at me. That's just stuff that you don't, that was not in the package of things I was dreaming about when I was a kid. There was a little bonus, like helicopters coming up buildings and there's cameras pointed at me, and it makes you a little uncomfortable actually. But it was great to get the call, but I felt sort of bad to be taking Brian Marshall's place because he's a really sweet dude, man. And so, but I wanted them to keep the ball rolling because it was good for rock and rock fans. Creed was one of the only bands that were doing numbers like that, and they were competing with Britney Spears and NSYNC for first week sales and Billboard. And that's an amazing thing that a rock band with guitars and drums and people really playing and people really singing was atop the big pop groups at that current moment. So it was a good time to be in rock anyway. So to be able to get that call and to go do that gig was really special. I didn't really start out wanting to record and produce. It was sort of a necessity. My brother went on to go to college and was a music major and ended up developing a recording studio engineering program for the college he was going to. And he needed bands during the summer courses, and I was out of school, so he made me a pet project on several occasions, which was awesome for me because I got to record some of my music that I'd been writing and kind of, recording on my jam box in my room, which most people that are watching this won't know what a jam box is. But it used to be a radio you could hold on your shoulder and everyone could hear it. It wasn't so private and personal like the earbuds. You know what I mean? It was more like, everybody check out the new Ozzy. You don't like Ozzy? Where's everybody going? But getting to go do that was I got to, my brother was like, well, here's where you put a mic on this, and here's why, and here's what this does, and here's what you go through after that, and this is what you this, and this is what that does. So I was getting sort of a guerrilla-style training on how to record when I was doing these projects with my brother, and that sort of set me up to, I got a 4-track recorder, and I started doing demos for the bands that way. But I had bands that were kind of listening to the stuff that I was doing and asking, hey, man, can you just record a couple of songs for us? And that's sort of what got me into it. It was I was doing it more as a favor for people and trying to help out. So that sort of gave me the confidence that maybe I had an ear for it, and I knew that a serious recording equipment budget was in my future. So that's what I'm doing now. Oh, man. See, once I start listing these bands, I get a million phone calls from the other bands that I don't that I don't mention. And if I do forget somebody, I'm really sorry. But the bands that are probably going to be on your radar soon, Star City Meltdown signed to Standby Records. They have an album release maybe end of first quarter this year. And another band, State Your Cause, is working with Sound Mind Recording. I did a band from Wichita, Kansas called Solicit. They're doing really well and have a lot of business things popping for them too. And most of these bands are doing this independently, and making use of their own best asset, which is their own fingers and brains, and copy and pasting links. That's what you got to do right now. Introduce people to your music, check them, hook them with a funny video, hook them with a video you did of you guys playing live. That's what people they're used to getting that on their news feed. So if you're not out there doing that for your band, you're gonna get lost and you're gonna go away. having Can You Be Famous, you're opening the door for people to offer you critique and to give you their opinion, and you can learn a lot from people's honest opinions. And of course, YouTube is known for its bashers and what are they called? Trolls? I guess they're trolls. Yeah. So the trolls sit around and they just wait on an opportunity to diss and bash and trash your video, whatever it is, no matter if it's good or bad or whatever. Their pastime is to diss on stuff on the internet. So it gets a little like, it's not as valuable for the artist because they're not getting real feedback. They're just getting the guy who only likes Deicide or Sepultura, and he makes fun of every other band without prejudice to if you're an acoustic folk act or a Ronnie James Dio tribute band. He's comparing you to Sepultura, which doesn't really make any sense. So to be able to have a site where you can get some honest feedback and you can get votes or whatever you're looking for from the site, the response you get will be a better gauge on where you're at, with the fan base, I think. Tragic